What's up, guys? Alton here, Man versus Maintenance, and I want to do a quick video about a question that I always get all the time from people is why did I leave the HVAC industry and get into the apartment maintenance industry? And I'm going to go ahead and talk about that a little bit and try to give you guys my perspective of why I left the HVAC industry and decided to become a maintenance guy. I started HVAC when I was about 19. I started going to school down in South Florida at a technical college called ATI. Fresh out of high school, I knew I wanted to work with my hands, and I knew I liked fixing things even since I was small. And I knew that I didn't want to go to college. I didn't want to spend another 4 years in school trying to get into something that I probably wasn't going to use, because before I even got out of high school, I would notice guys, or notice people in general, who went off to college for about a year or two and came back with either no degree or a degree in something, and they was working at some job that was totally unrelated to their degree or their field of study. So I knew I wanted a trade right off the bat, and the technical college or the technical school that I went to, they had two options. It was either take up HVAC or become an auto mechanic. And this is in South Florida, so this is when I was living in South Florida at the time. And HVAC was big. I used to see the commercials and the advertisements all the time about HVAC, so I decided to get into it. So I went back in 2001, started going to a technical college, got EPA certified in 2002, and once I got EPA certified, actually in 2001, I started doing HVAC work. Started working for a company. Started doing HVAC work. I was 19. I was 19 years old. No, I had just turned 20. So, just turned 20. No, actually, I was still 19. And started working doing HVAC. And I did that the whole time I was in South Florida, from 2001, 2002 to about 2006, when I decided to move to Georgia. And by the time I moved to Georgia, I was 23 years old. And then not long after that, I turned 24. And I started doing HVAC work in Georgia around 2006. And I just noticed that it was pretty different from South Florida. And I was an install tech, so that's basically, I knew how to do service as well, but install was where the money was. It seemed pretty steady at the time, and I didn't have to work all day to get my money. That was one of the best things about it, because I can go ahead and do a job. And if any of you guys have been in the HVAC field, a lot of these companies, a lot of the good companies, pay something that's called piece rate. So depending on how much work you do on that job determines how much money you get from, it's like a percentage of whatever the job is. So they'll say, for instance, if you put in something like an air handler and a condenser, the total job payout may be something like $250. But if you have to put in like a electrical box, just other stuff, the slab and all of that, then they pay you more. So the job payout may get up to about $500 or $600, depending on how much work you do. So that's $500 to $600. Split that between two people, 60-40, or if you got a green tech, which is a guy who has no experience, 70-30. You make that in a day, so you may walk away with maybe $200 to $300 in a day, so which is pretty good. So when I got to Georgia, um, I started to notice that HVAC was very seasonal, very seasonal work. And one of the things that I noticed was that a lot of companies in Georgia, in the summertime, they wanted you to work 6 days a week. Mandatory. It was mandatory 6 days a week, 1 day off, and that was Sunday. And if you were on call, then you couldn't be possibly working 7 days a week in the summer, which I never really got any calls anyway. I started to realize that it was just totally different from Florida. It wasn't as steady, and because around, I'll probably say late September to maybe the end of November, the temperatures, they just dramatically change. You have some of the most beautiful weather between late September to late November, where the high may be 73, the low may be 58. So a lot of people are not using AC or heat. You can literally just leave your windows open all day. You got this nice, cool, crisp air. And it's not too cold to where you need your heat, and it's not too hot to where you need your AC. So between those months, I would go from working 6 days a week to maybe about 2 or 3 days that week, and it just wasn't cutting it. So I was working with a guy, and he told me that he started out in maintenance, and then he moved over to HVAC. And he was telling me about the maintenance field, and he was saying, that was one of the jobs where you're guaranteed to get your 40 hours. You don't have to worry about working 6 days a week. You only work 5, and depending on what type of property you're on, you'll do on call. And if you're on a pretty good property, your on call is next to nothing. And he said, you get your 40 hours and you're still working on HVAC equipment, and you're learning other trades as well. So I thought that was a good, that was something that caught my interest. So back in 2008, I decided to get into the maintenance industry. And around 2008 is when the housing market started to take its toll, especially here in Atlanta. A lot of people were losing their homes. So many people were losing their homes and moving into apartments. So the demand for a maintenance tech was really high. It was really high, especially guys who knew what they were doing. So I got into the maintenance field in 2008, and I liked it ever since. It's 2016, and I'm still in it. And I get my 40 hours a week. I'm not killing myself, and that's another thing too. Doing all of those installs, man. I really beat my body up, pulling stuff, lifting heavy stuff, crawling in attics, crawling up under homes and stuff. I really beat my body up over the years. Right now, I got knee problems because of all of the stuff that I used to do when I was younger. And right now, currently, I'm 34. And so you're talking about from like the time I was 19 to about, I'll probably say when I got out of the HVAC field, I was 26. So looking at about a good 7-8 years or so, I was in the HVAC industry. And I really put a beating on my body over the years. So, but in a nutshell, I just wanted something, 40 hours, get in, do what I gotta do, go home at a certain time. And that's another thing too, when you're doing HVAC, you may start at 7:30, clocking in at 7:30. You get off whenever. Sometimes you get off early, sometimes you're gonna get off late. And I remember going to work at 7:30 a.m. and not getting off till 1:30 a.m. the next day. So it was pretty tough. But at the time, you know, I was a single man, no kids, no wife. It was just me. I just had to worry about me, so I didn't really mind. So now that I'm married man, 3 kids, you know, I can't risk those type of hours. I'm not gonna do it. That's one of the main reasons why I got into HVAC, man. Why I got into maintenance and left the HVAC field. And recently, this had to be earlier this year. It's September now, but I'll probably say around March. I went on an interview. Had an HVAC company just called me out of the blue. They saw my resume online from where I posted it like way back, and somehow they found my resume, gave me a call, and the lady, she wanted me. She really, really wanted me to come in. So I said, okay, well, you know, the HVAC industry has changed somewhat. Then, you know, maybe I'll consider it. So I went and I did the interview. It was a company that I worked with in Florida that paid pretty well, and they finally moved to here in Atlanta. And I went on the interview, talked to the guy, and after talking with him, I mean, the HVAC industry in Atlanta, it really hasn't changed much. They still want you to work 6 days a week and all of that type of stuff. So I decided to decline. I said, you know, I'd rather stick with maintenance. You know, I like it. Get my 40 hours, get my paid holidays, vacation, take a vacation anytime I want. And I mean, this is the industry that I'm probably going to retire in, man. So just wanted to go ahead and do that video and let you guys know why I choose the maintenance industry over the HVAC industry. So don't forget to thumbs up, like, share, comment this video, man. And as always, you guys have a blessed day.